Hello, welcome to WayPoint Survival. Today, we're going to do a Dollar Tree camp out. Everything here came from the Dollar Tree store. I think you're going to like it. Stay tuned. So the premise of this video is quite simple. I have to supply all of my camping needs with items bought only at the Dollar Tree store. Let's get started. All right, so here we have all the stuff that we bought, and we did find a camp chair. We'll be going through all of this stuff throughout the course of the video. But one of the things that I found that was very nice is a 10 by 12 tarp. Now, this isn't much of a tarp. It's super thin. And yeah, it came from the Dollar Tree, so we're not expecting a whole lot. However, I do believe we can set this up in a way that will be beneficial. Now, you may notice that there is no backpack. I don't know if they carry them any time of the year, but when I was there, they had stuff for summer, for the beach. So I managed to get this canvas bag, some nice cords on it for carrying. And then also, right here, I managed to get a decent sized little tote. And that's actually important. If you're out like this camping, you need a waterproof container. So this is really handy. As a matter of fact, if I was going to be here for a long time, I could empty this, put it in my tent tarp shelter, and I could use this to wash dishes in. There's all kinds of things you can use this for. It's very handy, besides keeping rodents out and bugs and all of that for the most part. So of course you don't expect to find tent stakes, but what I did find, landscape anchoring stakes, and they're just about the right size to fit into the tarp grommets. So let's build that first. We've got just about 45 minutes until it's dark. We've got to get this camp up. All right, I'm going to open this bag kind of carefully. Never know when a plastic bag could come in handy. Keep from throwing it on the ground. All right, get it mostly open. All right, we'll just set that to the side. And the first thing we've got to do is we've got to open it up all the way. Now, this is a 10 by 12, as I said before, but it is super thin. All right, so you can see we've got it laid out this way. So it's 10 feet this way, 12 feet this way. And what I'm going to do, because I want to have a floor in this particular tarp tent, and because I'm just a single person, I don't need a great big huge structure. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this stake into the second one from the end, all the way down. And I'm going to do that over here as well. Pull this nice and tight as I can get it, and down through the grommet, just like that. And that stake broke. All right, see if we can do this without breaking it. All right, there you go. All right, so we got the two backs staked in. All right, so they didn't carry any tent poles, but what I did find is this handle. And it's got a screw piece here for a broom or a mop, but they sell these individually. And I thought, hey, that'll work pretty good. Problem is, it doesn't have any spike right here. So how am I going to put it in that grommet? Well, it does have this loop here, and that gave me an idea. It just so happens that at the Dollar Tree, they have a multi-tool. Isn't that great? I thought, what a perfect little thing to go with a camping outfit, right? Multi-tool's very, very handy. Now, here's the problem. I have my cell phone. I have nothing else, so I can call for help if I get in trouble, you know, so tell time, that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't have anything to open this package with. So I'm gonna have to try to go in here where this plastic is and see if I can't rip it apart. Sorry about the noise. All right. Well, there we go. I didn't make a very pretty job of it, but I got it out, and I found out it's spring-loaded. So that's pretty cool. All right. And just in case you're wondering, you know, what kind of tools do we have on here? We have a straight edge and a serrated edge. So that's pretty nice. Two cutting edges. Again, you don't find sharpening stones at the Dollar Tree. At least I didn't find any. But we've got a small flathead, we've got a larger flathead screwdriver, There's a nice little file here, different size files on each side. And then over here, we have a Phillips screwdriver, a can opener, bottle opener, and a little awl for drilling holes and things. So, you know, that's not too bad. And the price was right. So the idea is this. I've got this blade here, and then we've got this affair. I should be able to carve up in here and turn this into a bit of a point so that we can use it to hold up the tarp. I'll do that and get back with you. All right, so we've managed to carve this, and this will go over top. We'll slide the tarp in here, and then when we put downward pressure on it, it should hold that in pretty decent. So, not a bad idea. Now, there's something else that I found out while I was whittling this. If you twist this right here, this comes off, and you've got a hollow part. You could whittle a longer stick, jam it down in there, and increase the height if you wanted to. So, kind of versatile. All right, so we're going to raise this up and put this right there, and it fits pretty good. I like the way that works. All right, now we need to take this and tuck this inside. Remember, we put the stakes in the back. We put them on the second one in, so it's not out on the corners. That allows us to fold the floor inside. Because the ground is a little damp, we need some sort of a ground cover. All right, once we got those corners folded in, I want to hold this upright, and then I want to come inside here, and where this edge meets, I'm going to go ahead and put a stake right beside where this pole is. So right here. And I'm going to do that to both sides. So we have this staked out right in the very center, and then our floor, hold it right there. All right, so this is kind of what we have. It's like this. Okay, so holding this up in the center and pulling it tight at the back, we want to take this right here and stretch this out, keeping this pole straight. I'm going to stretch this out, and it's going to come out sort of at an angle toward the front. And when I find that spot, I'm going to very carefully push down through the fabric. This does have a double stitch and a cord on the end here, so if we're careful, we should be able to put an extra hole in it without too much trouble, and it should hold. So we pull this side taut here on this side and get that where we want it, keeping this center pole straight. All right, we can let that fall down for just a minute, and then very carefully run this landscaping spike right in the ground, right there. All right, now back to the center. And remember, we've got a stake here and a stake here holding our blue tarp kind of tight, like this. We'll arrange the floor after a bit. All right, that's not that important right now. What we've got to do now is we've got to finish this tent arrangement. So we're going to pull this out, get down here to the ground where we know it's going to be nice and tight. And again, very carefully, run this stake into the ground. Just like that. All right, we have our tent, and now it's really nice and sturdy. No guy lines needed, and we do have floor in here. I'm gonna get in there and arrange it, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so you can see what I did here perhaps. I pulled the two floor flaps together, and then I pinned them all the way down. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when I got to the front, I was able to pull the two up that were on either side of the pole, bring them around, and put them down here. Now, do pay attention to the way that the wind is blowing, because this type of tent doesn't have a front. So again, if the storm's coming from this direction, it's going to blow right in. But this is a pretty decent little tent. Now, as I said, you don't have to put any guy lines out. I'm going to go ahead and do that because I've got extra stakes. There were 20 that came in that pack, and I did break a few. They're not real strong. But I also have some cordage, so I'm going to go ahead and guy this out. And that's going to give me a little better of a ridge because it's got just a little bit of slack in it. But I think that's going to work just perfect. All right, got a couple of our stakes, and we even found some paracord. It's not real paracord, it's not 550, but anyway, it's 1/4 inch line and it's camouflage, which may not be the best choice. When you have something camouflage, you tend to trip over it, so you may want to go with something like orange. I mean, after all, we've got a blue tent, so it's not like the color of this is going to make much difference, except just going to make it hard to see. But anyway, find the end of this thing, and we're going to stake out the front of this, put a little tension on that. All right, I'm just going with a slip knot and a stop knot, and just come out just a little ways. Don't need to come out very far, but about a 45-degree angle here. All right, and we're coming out on either side, so that way when we crawl in, we don't have problems. It can make it kind of difficult. And plus, we want to have a fire, and we don't want the cord to be over top of where our fire is. Now, do be careful and not put a ton of pressure on these stakes because they're really not that tough. All right, I just finished that off with 3 simple half hitches and cut that to leave a little extra cord. And there we go. That is much better. All right, like I said, it's getting dark, and of course you have to have good light, or at least some light, at a campsite. And so what we have here, we have a nice little LED lantern. We have some AA batteries. And then they had this thing. You know, it's to hang stuff up. But I thought that would be just about perfect to put in the ground and hang my lamp from. All right, I think we're going to put it about right here. Go ahead and shove that in the ground. And then take the tag off here. I am collecting all the garbage, and I saved the bag from the tarp so I can use that. But here's our little light. And what's neat about this is it's adjustable, so you can turn it brighter. It's got a little rheostat on there, so that's pretty nice. And we can hang it right there. All right, I think that works pretty good. And we don't have to have it on right now. It's not quite dark completely yet, so we'll turn it off and save the batteries. It only took 3, and we have 8 in here total, so we're pretty good to go. Of course, no campsite is complete without a fire. And so, got a pack of 3 lighters. Also found a nice pair of gloves for gathering sticks. And then, believe it or not, Dollar Tree sells a saw. I was pretty excited to find that. Folding pruning saw. Now, everything at the Dollar Tree, of course, isn't $1. This was $5. And when we get to the end of the video, I'll tell you how much I spent on all of this. And believe me, you'd be hard pressed to do this anywhere but the Dollar Tree. All right, let's go get some firewood and let's start a fire. And now I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Electric E-Bikes. You know, as the days get warmer, our thoughts turn more and more into getting outside and enjoying a lot of outdoor activities. And what better way to enjoy it than getting some fresh air and sunshine on the back of your very own electric e-bike. With a range of up to 80 miles on a single charge, you can confidently ride to your heart's content. Whether it be along a tree-lined country road or out on the paved byways of your local area, the smooth handling and quick response of the 750-watt motor is a joy to operate. It even has the ability to reach over 1,300 watts of peak power when needed. That's enough power to enjoy some backcountry trail riding as well as going up those steep hills you may encounter. It folds up small enough to be able to put in the back of a car, and at only 69 pounds, it's easy to handle for just about everyone. And even though it's light, it can carry up to 350 pounds, making sure that just about anyone can enjoy this e-bike. So if the warm summer weather is calling your name, and you'd like to get outside and enjoy the sunshine on your very own electric e-bike, you can either scan the QR code that's showing on your screen, or you can click the link in the description box below. And when you do order, make sure and click on the offer to receive a free e-bike cover using the code WayPoint at checkout. And once again, thanks so much to Electric E-Bikes for sponsoring this video. All right, so we collected some small sticks real fast. We need to get this fire going, as it's starting to get a little dark on us here, as you can tell. All right, see if these lighters will do what they need to do. Well, it's not a super strong lighter, I can tell you that. Well, we do have some flame. See if it'll keep going. Yeah, it went out. It's all right. Everything's a little damp out here. So, all right, we might have something now. There we go. Feed it some of these larger sticks here. All right, go get some more firewood. All right, so got the fire going good, and got some wood drying in around it. And of course you saw the little lantern. That's what I'm using right now to kind of illuminate everything. It's getting dark. But I also found this. This is a dog waste bag dispenser with a flashlight. So you get a little roll of doggy bags here, so extra plastic for garbage and things. And then it came with this flashlight, and so you unscrew this, and inside here there is a little tab that you have to pull out. Just one of those little plastic tabs, and haha, we now have a flashlight. So I think that's pretty good. You can see, illuminates pretty well. And as long as we don't overuse it, should be just fine. And like I said, we've got the place here in the back where we can store, get it out here, can store this roll of doggy bags. You just never know when that might come in handy. So we'll go ahead and stick those in there. All right, so now we have a light for camp, and we got a flashlight that we can use for other things to walk around with at night. Go to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff, you know, for things that go bump in the night. I might add that it also comes with a little carabiner here, so that makes it easy to hang off your belt loop or something, and yeah, just a little more convenient. Well, as you can see, we've got a good fire going, and got some longer sticks here, and we're going to try this little saw. Hey, guess what? It has a lock on it. That's actually pretty nice. So you have to push that to unlock it. Locks into place. I like that pretty good. Initial thoughts. My initial thoughts are that it's pretty sharp. And it is a pull saw, so it's a Japanese style pull saw, kind of like a silky saw. All right, let's see how well it does here. Well, I have to say, there's nothing wrong with that. That's really good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the rest of this firewood here and get back with you. I'd definitely go camping with this. All right, so while we're letting the fire build in strength, so we got this nice canvas bag, and it does seem to be coated with something that might be waterproof. I can't tell for sure. All right, so inside here we have some special items. First of all, roll of TP. Never know when you might need that. We also have down here in the bottom a 5-pack of ramen noodles. And then there's 3 other things in here that I thought was really convenient. Now I know that you all, if you shopped at the Dollar Tree at all, are well aware that they don't sell sleeping bags. They don't sell blankets. And so I'm thinking, what in the world can I use that would cover me up at night? And so I found 3 of these really large beach towels. And they've even got kind of a woodland theme on it. And they're not huge, but they are 30 inches by 60 inches. So 30 inches wide, 60 inches long. You put 2 of these together and you've got enough to, it's 120 inches long. You've got enough to fold over then, and then 1 more to make a sleeping bag. And we're going to do that here in a little bit. Of course, Dollar Tree does sell food. So on that account, we were in pretty good shape. And I was able to get 6 bottles of Pure Life water. So these are ½ liter, 16.9 ounces. So I felt pretty blessed. I was like, that's all right. We have plenty of water now for drinking, for cooking, and also for our morning toiletries when we get ready to do that and get up in the morning. And we'll be showing that, of course, when it's daylight. But pretty happy with that. Of course, it's important to have something to sleep on. And I couldn't find any yoga mats. They probably do carry them from time to time. But I need something that, other than just the blue tarp, I mean, I could just lay on that. I'm used to hard surfaces. I've slept outside a lot in my life. But I want something that's going to give a little bit of warmth back. And so what I found here is this twist sunshade. And we're just going to open it up. Put that down there. And then it just opens up like this. And there's 2 pieces. And it is 58 inches long. So again, not quite as long as my body, but this will go under my head and my core, which is the primary thing that I need to keep warm. And then this will also go over the center in the tarp. So where that tarp meets, if there's any moisture that comes up through the ground, I'll be mostly protected with this. I will sleep with, my boots off and everything. So I think this is going to work pretty well. All right, that actually did really good. I'm pretty happy with that. And I think it's going to do what I need it to do. Another one of the items that they had at the store was a box of safety pins. There's 100 small safety pins in here. Some of them are a little larger than others. The large ones here, the smaller ones down there. And there's some medium-sized ones in the middle. So that's pretty clever. Well, the dew has been falling, and they do sell towels. This is a hand towel. And I thought this would be good for drying up dishes and cleaning things after I eat. But we've got some dew that has fallen on here. And we're just going to use this towel. I'm going to dry off the top of this. It's going to be our work surface. Just like that. That's not too bad. All right, fold that up. Lay that there. It's a little damp, but put the dampness on the bottom. All right, we also have a toiletries bag, and I'll be showing you more of these things as we get into the video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We have to make a sleeping bag. All right, so we don't get too confused what's going on here. We're going to take one end of the blanket and keep everything off the ground because the dew is pretty heavy tonight. It's mostly fallen, so I think we'll be all right. But all we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to match the ends, overlap them just a little bit. And we're going to use the big safety pins first. So we'll use those up. We got 100 of them, so we should be all right. Of course, make sure that these are on the bottom as much as possible, and make sure they're snapped in well. You don't want these to come apart at night and stick you. All right, so we got that. And what we're going to do is we're going to match the ends first. All right, so there we go. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to put a few more across this bottom to hold these two together. All right, so I spared you all the nitty-gritty details of pinning this together. But essentially what we have is we've got these 3 blankets pinned together. So right in the middle we have a triple layer, and it is longer than I am. So I can easily lay down, and then of course underneath here we have our reflector. So that's going to work really, really well, and looking forward to a good night's rest. Well, we've got everything pretty well set up for the night. I'm not going to eat. I've already eaten, so got out here pretty late, and at this time I don't really want to eat something this late at night. Anything kind of heavy for my stomach. It is 10 minutes after 11 p.m. So it did take us a while to get everything organized, but we've got it set up. We've got a good camp. Pretty confident in the shelter. Sleeping bag's a little sketchy. I guess I could call them sleeping towels. I'm gonna have to get in real careful. So you put too much pressure on those safety pins, they'll pull apart. So it's gonna be a matter of kind of wiggling them on. Now I do have in my box here, I do have my WayPoint Survival hoodie, and you can get these from us. They're really nice. And I have a dry pair of socks and a toboggan for my head. I've been out here working around and walking in the dew, and my hat is really wet. So walking in through the trees and everything, we've had a lot of rain and another heavy dew, like I said, tonight, and collecting sticks and all that. So, but yeah, change into dry socks and just tuck everything in the shelter for tonight and climb in. So, hope I sleep well. All right, that's a little better. That should help keep my head warm. All right, so there we go. Hoodie on, toboggan on, and everything pretty well arranged for the night. So, like I said, I do take my boots off and put on some dry socks, which I have right here, just cotton socks, nothing special. But I don't want to do that until the very last, and I want to do that in the tent because I don't want to walk around outside, obviously, and get my socks all damp. So that's the #1 hack, of course, for camping. Always wear dry socks at night. Let's see here. Go ahead and take these boots off. There we go. And I'm going to keep them right here by the entrance, kind of lined up, so they can stay if I need to get up and use the restroom. Need to be able to put them on quick. And then for some dry socks. All right, dry socks are on, and feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. All right. I'm going to use the camp chair and this bag here as a bit of a pillow. Not super comfortable, but it'll be all right. Dollar Tree, they didn't sell any pillows either. So, all right. Go ahead and see if we can't slide in here very carefully. All right, we are in the sleeping bag. Time to go to bed. Little light off. Turn the little light off there. All right. I'll see you all in the morning. Well, here we are. It was a little bit chilly last night, and I did sleep out here all last night, and sun's well up now, and it's gotten warmer, so that's definitely an improvement. Oh, it's not the best of pillows, but it worked okay. I got that stiffness from sleeping on the ground. Well, it's time to get up and get moving. Sleeping bag that I made, it worked okay. The top blanket didn't stay pinned. I only had the little safety pins. The bottom part down here where it was folded over, you can see that, it stayed pretty well on my feet. And then of course I just ended up taking this top towel and putting it across the top of me like that. And of course I had my hoodie on. But anyway, well, it got pretty cold last night. 54 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, not terribly cold, but I had the fire put up here and it was going pretty good, and then it went down and went out, and did that several times. Woke up about every hour, hour and a half, feed the fire, doze off again. I ended up doing like a Siberian log fire. You can see where it's spread out like this, and that helped throw some heat into the front so I could sleep for a little bit. Definitely beach towels are not a substitute for a blanket or a sleeping bag, but I could definitely feel the warmth, and it was an improvement over nothing. And we're gonna have to get this built back up. All right, well, this didn't make the best pillow, but I have a feeling it's gonna make a pretty good chair. Now let's see what we get for $5. Huh? Not too bad, I guess. Let's see how comfortable it is. Yeah, I think this is all right. Hold me up, so that's what counts. All right, well, let's get this fire built back up and cook some food. All right, so there's a few things in here I'm going to show you that we got for helping out with our fire starting. First of all, 100% pure cotton rounds. So just the round cotton pads. And then we also got a little bit of petroleum jelly. So cotton, petroleum jelly, and of course this is also a first aid item, and I'm going to show you that here just a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open this up and get 2 of these cotton rounds out. Seal that back up. And then we're going to take our petroleum jelly here and take one of them. I'm going to dip it in like this and get a pretty good amount on the inside of it, like that. And then I'm going to take and put them together like a sandwich with the petroleum jelly in the middle and kind of smash that in a little bit. All right, there we go. If you do it this way, it's not too terribly messy. You don't get too much on you. All right, if I can find the lighter. There we go. And, oh yeah, there we go. Going good. All right, let's put our twigs we just gathered on there. There we go. And then we still have some sticks over here from our fire last night. They're partly charred, they're nice and dry, and so we'll put those on top of here, and that's gonna help get the fire going a little bit better as well. Looks like that's gonna burn pretty well. All right, so while the fire is building strength, I want to show you what I bought for camping for my toiletry items. So first of all, it comes in a nice bag. It has a front zipper and then it also has a main pouch. So I thought that was pretty neat. And give you a little close up here. I've got some Advil and some Blistex, and then also a small first aid kit, which is pretty much just 36 assorted Band-Aids. But it's nice and easy to see. It's right in the front of the pouch where it's clear and easy to get to. So I thought that was pretty neat. This is rubberized on the inside, so it definitely will keep things from getting wet, but also if there's anything damp, it keeps them getting on the rest of the gear. All right, so let's show you what I have in here for toiletry items. Go ahead and open this up. And then the first thing you'll see is some Old Spice deodorant. Also a pack of hand wipes, antibacterial. That's pretty important when you're camping. Toothbrush, toothpaste. Comb and a brush. Also a small compact mirror. And then a razor with 5 blades. So I thought that was pretty neat. The only other thing I have in here is the extra batteries, just to keep them dry. And of course the first aid items. But I thought that was a pretty good assortment of things. And really it's all you need for camping. You don't need a huge amount of stuff to take care of yourself in the woods. All right, first thing we got to do is put on a little deo for the BO. No, I'm not going to show you doing that. But anyway, this stuff works good. It smells nice. It is the Pure Sport, and you can see what that looks like. Most of you are familiar with this brand, but yeah, quite pleasant. Next, we've got the brush and the comb. Of course, wearing a hat, we don't really need to brush or comb too much, but I do like having a comb. It's really nice just to, if you got a beard or anything like that, any tangles for the ladies or whatever. And being out in the backcountry, it's very important to stay well groomed. It makes you feel a little more human. And of course, something like this is not going back in the package. This is actually going in my pocket. So I'll keep that for later. And then the brush can be used for later if you want to brush your hair or something. But it's important that you stay clean and groomed out in the backcountry. And this little cheap set here goes a long way toward helping that get done. Of course, one of the things we have to have in the backcountry is a mirror. It's useful for signaling. It's also really handy if you get something in your eye and you need to see to get it out, or a scratch in your face, or you get cut, or there's a bite or something down in your nether regions and you can't bend over that far. And what I like about this one is the top is a regular mirror and the bottom is a magnifier. So you can get really close and you can really see what that's doing. So really good and close. It's a little scary, but it does work real well. And for, you know, all your morning toiletries and everything like that, and it's compact, and it just, you know, it's protected as well, so it slides in easy. You can carry this in a pocket. As I said, for signaling or whatever, this is a handy little thing to have. I like this toothbrush and toothpaste set. It folds out, so it's got its own little storage compartment. It helps keep it clean. And it's just a Crest toothpaste. A lot of air in that little tube. I just squeezed that much out of it before I got any toothpaste. And of course we have our water. It's nice and soft. One of the things you have to do, of course, when you shave is you need some sort of water. And thinking about what kind of a bowl I could use, it would be easy to wash out and pack. And I found this. This is for dogs. It is a collapsible travel bowl. And I thought that would be just absolutely perfect. Even has a little carabiner on here so you could hang it up to dry. But it just pushes out like this. So it's not very deep, but that's going to be absolutely perfect for me to shave in. So a little bit of our water, put it in the bowl. The advantage to this bowl is black, so if I leave it set out in the sunlight for a little while, it's going to heat my water up for me for shaving. All right, so how we're going to do this, we've got these moisturizing face wipes, and as I didn't buy any shaving cream, I'll try to avoid as much mess as possible. And we're going to take this and use this as not only a cleaner but a moisturizer. So go ahead and wipe this on here, and of course I have a beard so I don't have to shave a huge amount. But all right, let's give this a go here. The water's getting pretty warm. All right. Say, that doesn't feel too bad. It's a pretty good little razor. Works all right. Then after we're done, take the same wipe or a new one, depending on how much this is still pretty damp, and just wipe everything down. And like I said, it's moisturizing, keeps you kind of fresh and clean, and feels good when you're out just to be able to wipe some of the grease and things off your body and your hands, and just to clean up a little bit. So definitely a must-have camping item. And this little foldable bowl was absolutely perfect. Toss out the whiskers. Rinse it with a little bit of fresh water. Make sure we got all of those out of there for the most part. All right, and then we can let it set out in the sun to dry, collapse it back in, we're good to go. This would also be really handy for a portable drinking cup. It's a pretty good size, and because it is really, really flat, it's going to work well. I'm going to leave it open though because I want it to dry out thoroughly. All right, so let's talk about food prep a little bit. First of all, having this tote right here is just super handy. It gives us a nice clean platform to work on, and because the top is indented, it's got a lip, that's just going to make it that much better, not only for prepping food, but also if you spill something, it's going to keep it on here. This is really a fantastic idea. I wish somebody would come up with a way to make a backpack out of something like this. That'd be pretty convenient. Be durable enough to set on, and then pack your gear in. Maybe some of you inventors out there to figure out. All right, so let me show you what I have. So for eating, I got this pie plate. Now, it doesn't have a handle, but that's okay because you remember we have our multi-tool, and that's going to be just fine for a handle. So we don't have to worry about that. Next, I found these absolutely awesome rubberized spatula and spoon, and it's very flexible. It's that high temp silicone, and listen, I would use this for camping regularly, not just for a Dollar Tree camp out. So you should definitely get a pair of these. These are fantastic. Easy to clean. There is a piece of stiff metal in there so it doesn't bend completely, but the tips are flexible, and I did wash these out in the pan. You never want to just take some from the store without washing it, but that's my cookware right there. All right, so let's talk about food. First of all, we have our pack of ramen noodles. 5 comes in this pack. We also purchased 3 Vienna sausage cans. These are to go with the noodles. Also have a couple of cans of sardines in water, and then also instant coffee. So the reason that I got 5 cans of meat is because there are 5 packages of noodles. So that way I can mix 1 can per pack and have a little extra meat and flavor, extra protein, besides all of the carbohydrates. Now, when I do these in camp, I like to break this up. I don't like to have the long noodles. They're just harder to eat that way. So I find if you can break them up in the package and do this over top your bowl, because it usually will pop open on you, but just take your time, and before you dump them out, go ahead and just kind of just make them into smaller bite-sized pieces. It's really not that hard to do. And then just go ahead and dump it in there. All right, like that. Pretty good. Flavor packet, of course. And let's go ahead, before we put that water in, let's do our our can of Vienna sausage here. Now these are pop tops, but I do have a can opener on the multi-tool, so something you would definitely want to think about if you're trying to do this. Now this has water already in it. It's fairly salty. I'm going to go ahead and use that because that's going to have flavor in it as well. Now do keep in mind that these right here are also little cups. These can be used as long as you're mindful of that sharp edge. So again, if you're living on the road, things like this, don't just throw those away. Rinse them out good, clean them up. Like I said, don't cut yourself, but that can be a nice little extra cup for something, and just, again, something handy. All right, we're gonna pull these apart here, and then I'm gonna just take this right here, this little rubber spatula, and slice these up into some smaller pieces. You don't have to do this, but kind of goes longer that way. All right, there we go. One more. Pretty decent. All right, now some water. Now a deeper bowl would work better, but the advantage to this is that it will heat up fast, and also it's going to be a plate. So you have kind of a double duty here. It's kind of like having a frying pan. A little flavor packet in here. Now folks, this is not super healthy eating, so I understand you would not want to do this all the time. Believe me, I don't. But for something like this, and you don't have a whole lot of money, this will just absolutely be perfect, and it'll taste good, and you can always go back to eating healthy when you get back home or you get out of the situation you're in. If you find yourself in a town, you don't have much money, and you need to be able to make a meal quick, something that's hearty and filling, going to give you some energy and some protein, it's pretty hard to beat this for the price. I mean, this is about the cheapest meal you can get almost. All right, I'll put a little bit more water in it after I set it on the fire. All right, so we've got a nice little bed of coals here. I'm going to try to level this out. It's not easy sometimes, but sometimes you can put a stick up under there. It's getting pretty hot though. Melt these gloves. These are quite the find. I don't think I'm going to get it perfectly level, so we'll just leave it as it is and go ahead and put the rest of that bottle of water in there and let it cook. Now, of course, again, if you're going to be boiling water and you want to carry it, you need to use this and save it so you can fill it back up later. All right, we'll let that cook for a little while, see what it does. All right, we're letting that warm up over the fire, and like I said, these gloves came in real handy, both for carrying firewood and just moving things around. Of course, they will melt if you get them hot enough, but just to grab things quick and move it around, they work really well. Not as good as leather, but they'll do. All right, now I told you that I have some instant coffee. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, that's all well and good, but so far the only thing you've got is a pan. Yes, I can boil in the pan. But I found something else at the Dollar Tree. Believe it or not, they have this little device here. And it's got a little handle on it so you can hang it, push the button, and there's a little straw to drink out of. Go ahead and unscrew it and you'll see there's a straw, goes all the way to the bottom. But what excited me about it, it's a single wall stainless steel canteen. Isn't that cool? Now it does have this rubber piece on the bottom, but guess what? It pulls right off. It's just a friction fit. And so we have a single wall stainless steel canteen for cooking and boiling in. And then when it cools down, put stuff back together and we could take it with us. It's not too bad for a $1.25 or whatever that was. Now the paint will burn off. We're going to expect that, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And again, I did wash this out. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in over by, I'm going to put some water in it first, and put this over there by the noodles and start heating up some water. I'm not going to fill it all the way. I'm going to go about 3/4. That way it doesn't get top heavy. It's not a real big bottle, so I do have to be somewhat careful. And I'm just going to set it right there where it can start to heat up. Watch out for these guy lines. And the noodles are starting to cook, starting to swell up. It's looking pretty good. All right, I believe this is well done. It's steaming. Most of the water has been absorbed, and we need to get it out, starting to cook to the bottom of the pan, just up here in this one little spot. So definitely time to get it out of the fire. All right, so we've still got a lot of heat down in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little divot here in the center on the ground. I've got a few bubbles in here, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to put this down here in the center like this. And then we're going to pile some of this hot coal around there. All right. And then we're going to put some twigs around here. And let that start catch fire, and that will help get this boiling pretty quick so we can have some hot coffee. Of course, we're using this as our table, and that towel that I showed you last night, that's going to be perfect to keep from melting the top of this. We're going to let that cool down just a little bit while our coffee gets hot. All right, you can probably see we've got some fire going in around here. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of this. This is freeze-dried coffee. And so before the flames get too tall, I'm going to put some generous helpings. I like my coffee really strong. And that should do it right there. And that might be a little too strong, but that's okay. But we'll let that boil together and see what that tastes like. All right, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that coffee is boiling in there. So that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cool water to it. The rest of the bottle, and I'm going to pull it out of the fire. Bring it over here and set it down where it can cool off. Nice little level spot. All right, I'm going to grab one more bottle of water, and I'll put a little bit of that in there as well. And the reason I do that, I put a little extra coffee in it in the beginning so that when I do add water to it to cool it down to a more drinkable temperature, it's strong enough that it doesn't dilute it a whole bunch. And the handle of the spoon makes a pretty good stir. Well, it's time to have a bite. Always have to be properly thankful. See what it tastes like. Boy, that is good. You know, for what this costs, this is a pretty complete camping outfit. The only thing that I wasn't able to find was navigation. They didn't have any compasses. I looked in the kids department. I would have been happy with just a little kid's button compass as long as the needle pointed north, because it's a pretty simple thing. And a lot of times even the play compasses will do that, but they just didn't have anything. However, for everything else, covering the 10 C's of survivability, this is a pretty comprehensive kit. I'm going to finish this, then I have a couple more things I want to show you, and we'll talk about what all of this costs before we go. So far, I drank one bottle of water last night, and then I'm on my second one today. So I've still got, no, I take that back. I've got 2 left, so we're on our 4th bottle. I've used 3 completely. Yeah, still not bad because I've got pretty much a whole canteen full of water there, and it's got coffee in it. So that's where one of those bottles went. All right, let's check the coffee here. It's still hot on the top. That is really, really good. As you can see, it did kind of blister and darken the paint around there, but that doesn't hurt anything at all. This is really good coffee. You know, one of the best things about camping is when you can do it relatively cheaply. And other than the food and the water, I've got enough here to camp for a couple of weeks. Longer if I wanted to. I could see that this would be a perfect setup for a modern hobo, or for someone who just wanted to get away for a couple of weeks, didn't have a whole lot of money. I mean, you can spend more money on a tent at Walmart than I spent on this entire camping gear. All right, so there's a couple items that I didn't have to use, but I got them just in case as part of a complete camping kit. The first is a travel-sized sewing kit, and it has needles and thread and a little pair of scissors and a measuring tape. It's a fairly complete little kit. And then also just a cheap rain poncho. Again, I didn't know what the weather was going to do. If the weather had gotten bad enough and the rain put out my fire, I could open up this poncho and drape it over the front of the tent, so I would have a rain cover that way, as well as if I had to get out and move around, use the restroom or anything like that, have a nice little rain poncho. And of course these are usually a one-time use, but for the price and to complete the kit, it's pretty hard to beat. I also didn't know if I would rip the tarp or if I would need to reinforce the grommets. I ended up not needing to, but I did get a roll of heavy-duty duct tape. I'm not sure how heavy-duty it is, but anyway, heavy-duty for the Dollar Tree. But I didn't have to use that, and of course this goes a long ways with, you know, cotton material and making improvised bandages. So this is also a first aid item, and as well as repair, because there's a 1,001 uses for duct tape. Of course we have to wash the dishes, and we're going to use clean water for that. So just a little bit of water in there. And guess what? You can get Dawn Platinum. So just a little drop there. Again, we don't want a whole lot because we're out in the back country, and we're going to dump this on our fire, but we don't want to put a lot of soap in the environment. And then we were able to get a 2-pack bacterial resistant sponges made by Brillo, so it's actually a name brand, and pretty excited about that. That was a good find. All right, so yeah, just use this, and again I burned it just a little bit to one side. It wasn't terrible, but just a little bit. But we've got that Brillo side there, and if we use it carefully, we won't scratch this too much. One thing you do learn when you're out in the back country and you've done a lot of camping, as I have, is you want to use the minimal amount of water and a minimal amount of soap. Most of us use way too much soap when we're washing dishes at the house, and you really don't need that much. Just enough to get the job done, mostly enough to make the sponge moist. And here's the nice thing about these antibacterial sponges. You don't really have to rinse these out unless you get a lot of food particles, and just let it dry out real good, and that way it'll have a little bit of soap on it for the next time as well. So just set it out somewhere in the sun, and it'll do its thing, and then you can keep washing dishes. Now eventually you'll have to rinse it out, of course, but for your first time or two, don't even worry about it. Got a little bit of water here. It's all right, we'll wipe it up. But yeah, so as you can see, I've got very little bit of soapy water left in here, and that's exactly what I want. I'm going to let this sit out here and dry in the sun. A little bit more water in here. Just rinse off my hand a little. Rinse off the lid. Got a little soap on it. Rinse these individually. Again, just a little bit of water. Shake it off. Same thing with the spoon. Remember, this is our good drinkable water, so we do have to be very careful. Now, I did already swish this around and rinse it out, so it's pretty good, but I'm just going to put a little bit on the outside, like that, around the lip where that coffee was boiling over. And we'll wipe that down here in a minute. All right, so here's what we have. We have just a small dish pan full of water. Didn't use very much of this, maybe not quite half. This goes on the fire. You hear it sizzling a little. And just a little bit more. And this time we can use the hand just to make sure we get all of the particles out. And as I said, minimal water. We don't want to waste our drinkable water, but we do need, of course, to put some water on here, so we are killing two birds with one stone, as it were. Before we go too much farther in the video, if you've made it this far, I'd like to ask your help in something. YouTube's algorithm has changed recently, and so it's been affecting a lot of creators. I'm not complaining, I'm very blessed. But we are not able to reach all of our subscribers. It has to do with the way the system identifies videos and notifies people. So if you could like this video, give it a thumbs up, make sure and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and then if you would, share it on other platforms, whatever you want, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't matter. And go ahead and share that so that other people can watch and enjoy, and hopefully we can increase the base and get the word out. Thanks so much. To dry out our dishes. And then we just let this stuff sit out in the sun. The towel we can drape over the top of the tent. Just like that, and wrapped around these guy lines and the top, it should stay pretty secure. And just let the sponge dry out there, like I said, and everything else is good to go. And we're ready for supper now when it's time. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to put all this together, to wander around through the Dollar Tree and use my imagination to think about what I would use if I didn't have a whole lot of money. And just to let you know, this entire kit cost $130, roughly. So really that's not bad. As I said earlier, just a tent from Walmart can cost you that much money, unless you buy one of the really cheap ones. But this covered all of my camping needs. So I think that's pretty phenomenal. You could have a great time camping with this. This would last you for a couple of weeks at least. Again, we've got the duct tape if we need to repair something on the tarp, and you could always improve and add to it. But this works really well. The only part of it that I was disappointed with were those lawn stakes. Those kept snapping off. I actually ended up using a couple of sticks, one for one of the guy lines and another for on the ground in front of the tent there. They just kept snapping and breaking off. So not a very good heavy-duty plastic. Other than that, everything worked great, and I had a good time. It did what I thought it would do, and just goes to show you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good time going out camping. This is James Bender for WayPoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find the link for our WayPoint Survival digital class. This is where you can train in the comfort and convenience of your own backyard the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important from our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. You'll also find the link where you can sign up for the WayPoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter, full of great ideas to help get your mind thinking and stuff that you're going to want to store, probably print and keep for yourself. It's that good, and it's totally free for you, and it helps us stay in touch with you in case something happens with this platform. You'll also find the link for WayPoint Survival, which is where you can sign up to take in-person classes at our beautiful training facility here in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can be notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time. Well, it's been a great 24 hours. We've had this camp set up out here in the backcountry, and believe it or not, everything I showed you in the video is right there, with the exception of the trash, the garbage, which is mostly packaging. We're going to carry that out. But yeah, you can see it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and while I would like to have a backpack, that's going to work just fine. And the nice thing is, our tent pole actually makes a pretty good hiking stick.